Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Calexit Congress, where you decide the future of the Calexit movement. We are always looking for new members to join the Calexit Congress. All you have to do is be a Californian or love California, and you can join in. Email me at marcus.ruiz.evans@gmail.com or go to our Twitter page at Yes California on Twitter or Calexit Home on Twitter. You can speak directly to the editor-in-chief and CEO himself, Jason Wright, and also request to join the Calexit Congress, where you decide the future of California. Getting right into it, we have a very important show for you today. First, I apologize. We're having a heat wave in Fresno, so that's why I'm not wearing a suit. So it's like 109 this weekend. Anyways, we'll survive. But today we're going to talk about how we have progressed on achieving our goals. So about a month and a half ago, Jason and I talked to you about how our goal is to be the most prominent site organization for discussion about secession in America before midterms, when secession interest explodes again, we believe, because Republicans would take the House and the Senate after you have things like Roe v. Wade being overturned. People are already terrified of Republicans, and then they would be able to take over even more. We still need some people to help us interact on our internet platforms. But basically, we've been working on funding. So we have a non-fungible token, a 501c4 that we're working on that you could donate to file the initiative after the midterms, online certification in secession, and merchandise. And today we're going to cover how far we've gone on those. Jason, do you want to jump in, or do you want me to show them the website? Dan, how's it going?
Yeah, go ahead and show the website.
Okay.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Rabbi Axelman, Vice President Axelman, by the way.
Good morning, Jason. It's actually afternoon. I don't know where you guys are. You must be in Hawaii.
Well, I say good morning because I was up late last night tweeting out to the world, and just woke up about a half an hour ago.
Good morning.
All right. Well, let me show you guys this. This is hard progress.
You in my way, dog.
So if you go online and you type in calexit.info, information on Calexit, right? And you press this is what pops up now. I know I need to work on that. We'll work on that. We'll get something else up there. Anyways, but it goes right to this site that we have now. This is the new Yes California site. Now we can edit it, so if people have things they want to be changed, certainly we can do that. But here's the graphic. It's kind of like a distressed America and then a Californian, and we're going with the, you never thought you'd see yourself here in this situation where the USA is falling apart. Then you can say, see the voices of real Californians in response to Roe v. Wade being overturned are really focused in on Roe v. Wade. Rights you have enjoyed for decades suddenly taken away. Here's Roe v. Wade. You click on that, it goes to the video where we talk about all these people who were talking about Let's Calexit in response to Roe v. Wade. Then here we go. What are we talking about? You can become a certified expert. The link's not up for that, but that's where the courses are going to go. You would click on this one here, and you would have access to it. We're going to have a merchandise site. We're going to link it here. We're going to have a Cali Coin Etsy page from our partner, A Eternia, and we'll put the link here. So as soon as we get that link, it goes here. This link goes here. And as soon as I have the courses up, this will go here. Stay Up on the News is the other thing we're offering. That link does work right now. It brings us to the Yes California YouTube page where we have all of our information. So we're saying, Calexit, Yes California is your one-stop shop for everything Calexit. You can become a certified expert. You can become a California nationalist. You can buy Cali Coin to help with the ballot initiative, or you can stay up on the news. Here's another nice graphic of exactly who we are and our logo and what we're here. You can join our mailing list, join 80,000 other Californians connected to Yes California. Listen to the voices of real Californians. Multiple major news publications and many regular Californians have taken a stance. These are all very recent articles from newspapers and regular people on how they're interested in secession because of Roe v. Wade. If you click on any of them, it links to the article. So we have a lot of articles about should California secede because of Roe v. Wade. A lot of people talking about this. I want to secede because of Roe v. Wade. So we put that all up there. And then there's a link to that. So you can see your rights were taken away. Californians respond to Roe v. Wade. Then here's more people saying, let's secede because of Roe v. Wade. And then this is the graphic of the Californians saying they wanted to secede in response to Roe v. Wade. So it goes like high profile news, other people who made it into the news, and then just regular folks. Goes right back to the same video where we cover in detail everybody who who's thought about Calexit. And then this graphic here is all physically in person. And if you look close, you can see them. Nerds Garage, can we please revisit Calexit, etc. Listen to a special message from our CEO, Jason Sean Richard Wright, CEO of Yes California, explains the basics of self-determination. Click here to become an expert on your rights. And he goes to a video of Jason explaining self-determination, where he sounds really smart. You can join the Yes California Calexit Congress. You make the decisions. Put it here. We also have all of our stuff linked up. So here's the Yes California on Twitter. Yes California on Facebook. Yes California on YouTube. I know this isn't the right symbol. I'm not sure how to fix that, but we'll work on it. Anyways, we do have the Calexit Home Twitter on there. So all of our sites are linked here on these four things. You can see, so everything's linked in. Those are our sites now. And then in the future, we will have our merchandise site, our link to buy the Cali coin, and our link to take certified courses here, in addition to already having a link to the news. And then, okay, so Jason asked for this. I already put up the page. It's called Allied Movements. So it's a totally separate page. Allied independence movements. There are fellow organizations pursuing independence in peaceful and legal manner. We do not share values with them, but we do share a commitment to peaceful secession highlighted. I just populated a few: Hawaii, Cape, New Hampshire, Texas. Basically, it's their logo, a quote from them, and then a link to their site. We can do more. This is just to get going. If we go back, then you have about, frequently asked questions. This is the about page. Nice quality graphic. That's the one that appeared on television that we also made. Same thing. You see America falling apart. You're not alone. Same links to Twitter, Facebook, etc. right there on the About page, so they can immediately jump in the conversation. Yes, California, your one-stop shop on California secession. We have everything you need to become a Calexit expert. Online self-determination courses, so you would click that to go to the courses. News related to everything. There's me looking really smooth. Takes you right to the channel. Insightful commentary on current events. There's Jason looking really smooth. Takes it right to the Twitter channel where he comments mostly. And then become a California nationalist, show your pride, so you can buy merchandise. I'm not sure why that link's there. I need to fix that. But anyways, merch would go there. This is a little graphic we made about national divorce. 26 red states want to vote California off, so clever stuff like that. Then we go down to here. How much support does Calexit have? Is it legal to secede? What is the plan to make California independent? What did past initiatives look like? So this is not supposed to answer everything. We didn't want to overwhelm people, but it is supposed to let them know that we have the answers as to why this is worthy of you spending your time on it, period. So how much support does Calexit have? There's links to everything. Here's the percentage of people who did it. Is it legal to secede? Texas versus White, Supreme Court. 3 attorney generals said that it's okay. In theory, only a majority vote would be needed to approve it by Erwin Chemerinsky. The links are there. So everything's linked in. So we have citations on everything. What is the plan to make California independent? We get the vote here, then we approach Congress. Then Congress lets us go because a bunch of states hate us. And, there's links to all of that. So what did past initiatives look like? We wanted to prove that it was legal, so we filed multiple initiatives. That one I need to fix. Oops. There's Javier Becerra, and one of our previous initiatives we filed under him. And there's Kamala Harris, and one of our initiatives we filed underneath her. So I need to fix the Keenely one. So it shows you what our initiatives look like, that we have a solid plan that works, that it is legal to secede, and that we have a lot of support. And it's the basic questions, and everything's linked. So there's citations there. They're already linked to the news. So this should walk a person through that we're not here wasting your time. We have all the stuff basically thought out, and it's links to everything. One-stop shop. Go back to the front. And the whole thing's linked to Calexit Home. Calexit.info. It goes right there. So that's the end of the presentation. Rich, your device is not connected. You want to join the show? Thoughts, feelings. Okay, Rich knows his device is not connected. Okay, thoughts, feelings on the website.
If I could start it off by just explaining a little bit about our allies section. So, metaphorically speaking, there will be either a Civil War 2.0 or there will be a peaceful national divorce discussion. During divorce proceedings, usually the interested parties get together in a room, sit down at a table, and hash things out, decide who gets the car, who gets the kids, who gets the house, who gets the truck, who gets the trailer, who gets the dog. This is our way of building that table and that room. So our allied page is the room. The table itself maybe doesn't exist, but it's just wherever we all are is the table. And so TNM, Liberty Block, NHExit, right? Or the New Hampshire Independence Movement, NHI, Cape, Hawaii, right? The goal is to have as many of these movements working for 100% legal and peaceful means to finding a solution to all of this craziness, all this madness going on. This is where it's going to happen. And now the groups that have been out there espousing their fear-mongering tactics and, libelous statements, defamatory statements, right?
Yeah.
They have pretty much ensured that they will never, 1, sit at the table, because 2, they will never get an invite. Because really, I mean, when it comes time to divorce proceedings, usually if there's someone who's just, saying something like, no, I don't care, I'm going to keep the house no matter what, and I'm going to sit in the house with a bunch of guns and shoot at anyone who comes up on the porch. Well, they are not sane. They are not reasonable. They are not using logic. They're also not following law. So we can't have anything to do with them other than maybe taking them to court for defamatory statements, which, you know, to be clear, for Texit, I have seen your post asking. I did not weigh in on the post because you were asking Texans very specifically. So out of respect, I didn't weigh in on there. But I will weigh in here and say I wholeheartedly support any endeavors to use the law to get this lunacy away from us. And by us, I mean us all. So,
Yeah, I think that's where they were starting to go with that.
yeah. And this is our chance to really steer the whole thing.
Yeah, I think within the executive team, I think they're getting pretty sick of all these people constantly saying that it's that you're a treason or a traitor or all this. So I think that's why they commissioned that article to be written. So it's pretty interesting. I don't have the money myself. If anybody accuses me, I don't think we're doing it as like an organization offering legal funds for it, but I think they're putting the information out there for if we happen to have anybody with a little bit of coin in their pocket that feels like suing somebody for saying something stupid, then this is here to kind of back up that they have a right to do it. I'd be interested. Steven, are you still on here?
Yep, I'm here.
I'd be interested in maybe getting Ed's take on this idea at some point.
Send me the URL, will you? Or put it in the chat.
I dropped it in the chat, in the private chat.
Oh, here we go. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just use a moment to point out that yes, California in general has lots of different stuff, lots of different job types being filled. Lots of doctors, lots of politicians, lots of lawyers. Yes, California actually does have contact with people who are supportive of our cause and the use of 100% legal and peaceful means. And they're also, certified to practice law. So while it's not, some guarantee that they would take up the case, I do see the potential that a high-profile case like that would be beneficial to.
I think if a case were able to be filed,
Party representing.
I think if a case were to be filed, I think it'd have a big impact if one of these national talk show hosts or something makes a comment to that effect to sue them, and that could possibly shut down a lot of anti-voices.
Yeah, I in that exact spirit, I gave Rachel Maddow and MSNBC a very fair warning that now that we are a recognized limited liability company under the state of California, the state of California now recognizes Calexit as an entity, a business entity. This means that they would probably be better served to just keep their mouths shut if they can't say anything correct or nice, right? So yeah, we'll definitely see what transpires.
Well, what would be fun to watch, because I know I like his legal mind, but I completely disagree with Mark Levin. He's a very anti-secessionist. Just my own schadenfreude, I'd love to see Rachel Maddow and Mark Levin listed as co-defendants on a defamation case.
You know that I went on Mark Levin to discuss secession.
What was that?
Alu went on Mark Levin to discuss secession.
I never saw that link.
He got the typical response from Mark Levin.
No, but I mean, I never even saw that he went on there. I want to watch that.
It's not on the TV, on the on the show.
Oh, not on like his Blaze show?
No, on his regular radio show, whatever.
Okay. Gotcha.
And he basically told him he's an idiot and hung up on him. I haven't listened to Mark Levin in about 5 years because I can't stand his personality, and I think he worships Abe Lincoln, and there's nothing to talk about. So.
Yeah, his I understand his family connection to Lincoln, but and can understand his position.
He's the one who has said many times that if Convention of States doesn't work, the country's finished. But he won't discuss anything else. So
right. Yeah, so what's his solution? Just let it dissolve if Convention of States doesn't work?
I don't know. Maybe he'll be the new Abe Lincoln. I don't know. He won't say, but he's too busy telling people to shut up and get off the phone.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I haven't listened to him in a while myself.
To be clear, we're talking the representative of, like, I believe it's Sonoma, Napa area in California.
Levin, you talking?
Yeah.
No, we're talking Mark Levin. He's a national. Basically, Sean Hannity got him started. He was a fill-in host for Hannity years ago, and he became popular enough where he's big on the conservative side of things. He has, like Stephen was saying, he has his own radio show. He also is on Glenn Beck's The Blaze Network. Has a couple shows on there, I think. At least one I know of.
Mark Levin is one of the top in the country. So.
Yeah, he's probably in the top 5 talkers, I would almost guess.
Okay, because there is also a representative in California named Mark Levine. So I was like, is this the same person? Because if so, I've actually met this guy before, but glad to know it's not the same because I actually have a very high opinion of the guy that I was thinking of. Even though he ran against my candidate.
Okay. If I may, Jason, I'd like to show people a few videos, something I've noticed with the media recently.
Please do, Mr. President.
Okay. So as you remember the phrase, Gandhi said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, and then they fight you, and then you win. So ignore you, laugh at you. It's when they fight you that they're acknowledging that you're a problem and that ignoring you didn't work and laughing at you didn't work. So they already tried ignoring, that failed. They already tried laughing, that failed. Now they're down to their third strategy, which is fight you. And the reason Gandhi said that that's the step before you win is because they've already exhausted their other 2 planks. They're down to where now they actually have to fight you on a fair battlefield. They couldn't ignore you. They couldn't ridicule you. Now they have to deal with you. And so it's when they fight you that you can see that this isn't the worst time. It's the best time. You're winning. You're actually threatening them. They feel threatened and they have to fight back. And when they feel threatened, that means you're doing something right. You have figured out their strategic weakness and you're poking it in the right place. I would like to offer that the system now is upset that the conversation of national divorce is becoming very popular And they are upset that liberals are talking about it. So the system now is working very hard to say that only right-wingers talk about national divorce, and that any discussion of national divorce is the most horrible, worst thing ever, and is a dedication to violence. So, you have Sarah Silverman and Ron Perlman, lefties, talking about national divorce. You have the Calexit movement talking about national divorce. You have lots of Californians talking about national divorce. But the media is going to try to play it as only the right talks about national divorce. And why do they talk about national divorce? Because they want violence. Whereas here at Yes California, we work with a lot of groups who are on the right and want national divorce. And they all say the reason that they want national divorce is to stop violence. So I hope you see the narrative taking place here. National divorce is to stop violence. National divorce is supported by people on the left and on the right. Here's the counter narrative. National divorce is only supported by people on the right, and the reason they do it is because they want violence. See how here's the truth and here's the counter narrative? Truth, counter narrative, truth, counter narrative. So that's what I mean by the system's fighting. Let me show you.
Is it just me, or is that not loading?
I'll try again.
Okay.
Share screen window.
Yeah, I'm just seeing old Uncle Sam bawling his eyes out with a little loading circle going on. Like America is trying to reboot. It's just not working.
StreamYard looks like it's working. So I'm just going to press this video because it looks like it's working on my end.
Presidential election, and people who are greedy, people who want to strip this country down and sell it off for parts, are weaponizing these categories now by presenting very complicated states full of a diverse array of people, full of cities and rural areas, and just a multitude of Americas within each state as these hardened, immutable entities. They want a situation akin to what happened to Yugoslavia, to the fall of Yugoslavia and the Balkan Wars of the 1990s. That's the kind of chaos and exploitation of that chaos that they crave. And so it's very important that Americans stand united. That does not mean denying our problems. It means confronting them head on for the benefit of all, because all this talk about civil war or secession or blue paradises or red paradises, it is fatuous. It is going to hurt every ordinary American citizen. It is only going to benefit the criminal elite.
Okay, so that was a total slam by MSNBC on this. So that was let me see if I can exit full screen. Nope. Huh.
Speaking of the criminal elite, Ellie, Sarah just made some really good points. You and I.
So that is, will America survive on MSNBC's Tiffany Cross? And they, you can see they're going full bore.
Yeah, can I point something out about what this lady has just said there?
Please.
Now, here's someone who is obviously not part of the movement, who is attempting to speak for the movement, not just our movement, but like the movement of the people towards self-determination. And I mean, it's pretty clear this person speaking has little to no actual knowledge of any of the law, the way that any of us are doing these things, right? This whole like hell-bent on being 100% legal and peaceful. They obviously missed all of that, even though each one of us continually says it over and over and over like a broken freaking record. So either they are blatantly not acknowledging that and choosing to spread false statements in the hope of dissuasion, or they're very dumb. Which one is it? I don't know. I kind of want to ask.
Why can't it be both?
Because, well, yeah, that is a very, very fair point. Now, this whole balkanization thing, right? We've heard people who try to, get us to say that we're for the balkanization of the United States. We've had that over the years. We know where that comes from. And the fact that mainstream media is now taking the exact wording, the exact phrase. They're taking the exact wording, the exact phrasing of some of these fringe groups who do not care about using law, who actually do want to see it no longer be a peaceful movement. Here is the host of this talk show talking with the exact words that the extremists are using. So this actually makes me leads me to believe that this person is paying attention and maybe even siding with, potentially, some of these extremists who do want to see things get violent. Otherwise, I mean, they would be saying something much different, right? Is it just me? Does it hit anyone else like that?
I mean, when you look at her face, she seems really animated and angry, and she uses the phrase "civil war" a lot. So, I mean, if you look, if you break out her message, it's like, "Oh, I'm against civil war." But if you're in an emotional state and you're just kind of absorbing things as they happen, it looks like a very angry, agitated person going, "Civil war, civil war, civil war." So, I mean, I just noticed that, like, she seems to be aggravating it. She is not alone. There's another one by our friends at Daily Kos. Always unbiased. Daily Kos, National Divorce. It's a right-wing talking point by such a right-winger. And what this says is that anybody who talks about national divorce is a Marjorie Taylor Greene fan. And that the only question is, how do you split up the country to avoid a civil war or possibly ensure it? So there's the tagline again. You're saying national divorce to stop a civil war. Actually, we think you mean start a civil war. That's exactly what they said here. Literally the same talking point. Did you say national divorce is a way of keeping the peace? Actually, what you meant was starting a war and killing people. So MSNBC's ultra-left, Daily Kos is ultra-left, exact same talking point. No mention of, and then here's my favorite part. Nearly half of the West Coast Democrats want to secede from the country as it happens. So at the very bottom of the essay, they admit, oh yeah, some on the left do this. So it starts off with the right is this, and they're all racist people, and then at the bottom we admit, well, actually there's some left people here, and we won't mention Sarah Silverman or Ron Perlman or the Calexit movement, but you get the point. If you were talking about national divorce, you actually mean violence, and you want a civil war. When you say that you
real quick, Marcus. Real quick, back to that Daily Kos. That scroll. Can you pull that up again and scroll down? That looks like our survey.
Tell me when to stop, brother.
When you get to that survey, the 66% one, right there. 66% was one of the numbers in our red state secession survey. I think they're quoting that survey.
Nice.
That might be something to look into.
Nice.
I'll bet you that survey is what they're referencing there. So that means that that poll had some impact if they're using it as basis for articles at this point.
Oh yeah, when your enemies start talking about you, you're getting somewhere. And when they use your information or try to pass it off as their own, you're getting somewhere. Right? They wouldn't bother looking at you if it wasn't relevant or threatening.
Right. How close are they watching us now? The date on that article is 7/15, and when did we release that poll?
Exactly.
So that's not just something they happened upon. They're actively watching us.
Yep.
We only released it like last weekend, right?
Well, who's the number one group in the? I mean, and I speak with a little jealousy, but who's the number one group at the national discussion on secession? It's Texas. So obviously, if national divorce is a horrible thing and racist and disgusting, and then so they're going to look at Texas, and then they're going to assume you guys are the worst of everything. So yeah, it makes total sense that they would be focusing on Texas and looking at Texas and spying on what Texas is doing, while talking about how can we make national divorce a super scary subject so that nobody joins in the conversation, because we are noticing far too many liberals and middle of the road Americans joining in the conversation. So we have to tamp that down with lies, just like they did against the Texas nationalist movement, right? Oh, this is sedition. Oh, I meant treason. I meant this. I meant that. Right? They're just making it up. It's not actually correct.
Yeah, and this is an interesting point, because if they really are following along intently and paying attention to this, as they probably should be, right? I mean, if you're in the news or in the news industry and something that big is going on, you should probably stay tuned into it, whether you agree with it or not. So if they are indeed following along with it that closely, then there is no way in hell that they have not heard the phrase 100% legal and peaceful means only. So that would be proof enough to establish that they are consciously misleading, misrepresenting. I mean, she's not even part of any of this, and she's presuming to speak for the minds and hearts of everyone, not just one movement, all of the movements. That could be a class action suit from all of the organizations against someone like this and their multi-bazillion-dollar employer. Just felt like I might, want to point that out.
Well, TNM seems to think that's an okay idea. The rabbi says that I mean, that's, yeah. The rabbi wanted me to show this, the Conservatarian Exchange on the Liberty Block, episode 110, July 15th, 2022, where they discuss secession.
Libertarian Exchange on the Liberty Block with all 5 of our regular hosts here today.
You got to go somewhere into the middle of it. I don't remember where. I have to find exactly where.
So that's there for everybody. You can check that look out. We have a link in the comment box. But I want to get back to what Jason was saying, that it really does seem like they're trying to attack us and come up with the counter narrative. That we're saying that we want national divorce because it would avoid violence and civil war. And they're saying, no, you want national divorce because you secretly want civil war and violence. So I don't think that's an accident that they could take such a specific flip of our major point and say that that's the actual point. To me, that looks like somebody who studied our point, realized that it's a dangerous point from their point, from their vantage, meaning that people would actually buy our talking point, that Whether you're left, whether you're right, this is about saving lives. This is about preventing violence. This is about us living together peacefully in harmony, and that might be getting traction. And so it seems to me kind of a naked attack. Oh, are you guys saying you're for peace? No, you're for violence. That's what I see is, oh, you're for oranges.
Yeah,
people hear that.
If 100% legal and peaceful is something that someone views as maybe counterintuitive for themselves, well, it kind of goes back to what the Supreme Court decided in the case of Texas versus White, where it says there are only two ways that a state may leave the Union. Either with consent of the states or by violent insurrection. Now, if they're not for peace and using legal means, therefore what? Therefore the violence. If they're viewing the peaceful as a danger to their livelihood, right? Oh no, we can't allow this to happen. This is going to be bad for us. Well, that tells me pretty clearly that they're for the other option, because there are only two options. It makes me wonder what it is that these people want. Now, I don't know if they could even ever be truly honest with themselves about what they want. But here's the other thing to consider, is that a lot of the mainstream media, big corporate media, right, they get government subsidies. So they need to follow the rules laid out about the peaceful pursuit of the fundamental human right of self-determination as laid out by the United Nations in their United Nations Entrance Charter, which was signed onto by the United States, meaning they agree to uphold it. Now, if the United States federal government is giving these entities money and they are breaking those rules, either the United States federal government is going to hold them accountable so it does not get kicked out of the United Nations, or they are giving money to entities who are actively breaking those rules, which means they are thereby, in proxy, funding, not just supporting, funding these entities working against the fundamental human right to self-determination. That's freaking huge. And everyone involved in the United States federal government had better hear that and had better open your eyes and ears and realize people like this lady are going to, not can, are going to cost you everything. If you really love America and you really don't want, peaceful legal secession or any sort of secession, whether it's peaceful and legal, then you had better get on board with telling those people to sit down and shut up and stop breaking international law before it's too late. Because we are now recognized entities who can pursue legal action against them. If we pursue legal action against these entities and win, we can then use that as a physical case point example, bring it to the United Nations as our proof that the United States of America's federal government has broken the contract, and we can very respectfully request that the United Nations take up our case, take a look at it, and come up with some decision on this. It's not a guarantee that they'll kick out the United States. But the United States over the last 10 years or so has really pissed off most of the rest of the world. And, under Trump joked about, maybe we'll just leave the UN so we don't have to follow all these extra rules. And a lot of the bigger nations of the UN kind of had the response to the effect of, oh, please do. They're sick and tired of putting up with America's shenanigans, its antics. So ultimately, United States, if you don't want to lose that world police badge, you should probably get on board with making sure that your little hand puppets, your little sock puppets, start to behave and follow all of the rules. Because if you don't, you are complicit in these crimes, and you can also pay the price in a court of law.
Any other comments?
One last thing is I'll just point out that, like Dan said, if we sue MSNBC, that's freaking huge. That's going to make some international headline ripples in the waters. If we then win that and go on to sue the United States federal government in the International Court of the United Nations, that's like 1,000 times bigger. And the last step was already freaking huge.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. It'd be a gigantic media spectacle. I believe it was some news agency sued Rachel Maddow, and that was national news for defamation. And then they won, and that was even more news. So they got in the news twice because of that.
Yeah, and
Interesting
let me say, James, I see your tweet or your post, and I agree.
Somebody was saying something.
Interesting tweet I just came across. If anyone's familiar with the actor Nick Searcy.
I'm not.
You've seen him. I'm almost positive he's done everything. He was in what was the show with Timothy Oliphant, Justified?
Oh, okay.
He was his boss. He always plays kind of the hard-nosed government type. He's a pretty conservative actor. Somehow he just came across my tweet. I don't know if they're listening to me on Twitter or listening to us. A tweet of his from December 11th of 2020, actually. The left will not allow peaceful secession.
Can you post that in the private chat?
Why don't I just tag all the groups on Twitter?
Sure.
There you go.
Retweet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Nick Searcy. That's awesome. And we said that here too. So a lot of Californians they don't want your laws on them, but they want to push their laws on you through the federal system, and they feel that's totally okay. This is so egregious and blatant that F.H. Buckley, who wrote a book on secession, actually coined the term California imperialism. California imperialism. So my rules for you, but none of your rules for me. And the reason is that you're dumber than me and you don't know what's best for you. So I need to push my rules on you. And eventually, sometime in the future, you'll get that you were wrong, and you'll come back to me and admit that you were wrong and that I was right. And you'll thank me for pushing my rules on you, like a parent does to a child. So a lot of Californians feel that way. We in the Calexit movement are the largest congregation of Californians who say that's dangerous. That kind of talk gets the people getting killed. Just like we don't like people pushing their laws on us, guess what? They don't like our laws pushed on them. Most Californians don't get that. We at Calexit do. That's why we work with people in conservative states, because we go, look, you know, we understand that whenever like, look at Roe v. Wade, right? People are freaking out over here. But they're just as likely to go, although I'm terrified of having my rights taken away by your vision, I'm still not willing to give up on me pushing my rights on my ideas on you. So there is a lot of truth there, that the left doesn't want this to happen and they'll fight it. We're 80,000 people, and we represent 32% of Californians, actually 45% of Californians, almost half, who do recognize this and are willing to have this conversation. That's why we say that people in the red states should work with us, because you're either going to be working with Calexit people, or you're going to be fighting laws forced on you from the federal government caused by Californians. You can pick which one you want.
And again, for anyone who's viewing this either live or at some point in the future, would like to make this abundantly clear. Why we are working with other groups who pretty much the only thing we really agree on is that, hey, we all have this right to self-determination. Texans should be able to decide for Texas, New Hampshireites for New Hampshire, Californians for California. Even though there's a lot of individual policies that we don't agree with. The reason behind this is that we are not extremists. I know a lot of folks in, TNM are probably signed on to the Republican Party, making them part of Team Red, therefore right wing. However, we all make up the actually sane middle ground of the political spectrum of the United States of America right now. The extremists are the very far right and the very far left. Some of the very far left have been seen posting images of firearms and saying things about F peaceful protests, the time is now, let's go get them, doing things like going to people's private residences. I mean, geez, I thought this was America, where you have the right embodied in the United States Constitution to the safety and security of your own domicile, right? Obviously, a lot of these people who are extremists, either right or left, have forgotten this. They have actually stepped away from being American, and what they are now is actually definable very clearly as domestic terrorists by the FBI and, Department of Homeland Security and all of their different entities, right? By their standards, these extremists who are promoting violence in any sort of way are terrorists of the domestic kind. So that means people who are supporting them are actually supporting terrorism, while we here, the sane, reasonable people, actually make up this highly vilified middle ground. A lot of the people on the left like to vilify those of us I'm personally a green, right, which puts me pretty smack dab in the middle. Financially, I do align a lot with the folks on the right. Socially, I do align a lot with the folks on the left. That makes me pretty smack dab in the middle. Now, the middle has been highly vilified mainly by the left, because they want all the votes for themselves. And if you're not going to vote for them and keep them in power, doing pretty much nothing other than, I mean, it's kind of worth pointing out, the Democratic National Party, National Convention, whatever, has spent a lot of money on anti-abortion, these pro-life people running for offices around the country. Yeah, the Democratic Team Blue has put a lot of the money that people have been duped into giving them. They have put a lot of that into these sorts of things. So either they're secretly pushing it to get worse and worse so that the national divorce happens, or they're bold-faced lying to everyone because what they really are concerned about is just staying in power. Knowing the United States government and the setup as well as we do, I think it's pretty easy to say option number 2 is really that's the reason. They just want to stay in power. Hey, I'm Team Blue. I know how to get some of those red votes. We'll start doing some red things. That's America all the way. So we here in the middle ground, the sane, reasonable people who are pretty hell-bent on using 100% legal, peaceful means to achieve our goal, which is to prevent a bloody civil war. Well, either these folks are, it comes back to TVW, Texas versus White. Either they are for, yeah, right there, for legal, peaceful means, or they are for the violence. And if they are not pushing the legal, peaceful means, then they are promoting the violence. While vilifying us and calling us fascists and traitors and anti-American. And I like to point out to folks, at least for, I'll speak for Calexit. I'm pretty sure our allied organizations will also agree. We don't hate America. This isn't about destroy America. This is about saving lives. This is about saving some semblance of what it is that we all grew up learning and believing in.
Yeah, if I could jump in on that, because that's kind of my talking point I use a lot when they say that we're not in line with American values. And my speech is that I have as much reason to be loyal to America as anyone. My birthday is a day, the anniversary of the Lee Resolution, which is, in my opinion, the true American Independence Day. And I have family going all the way back to the Revolution. I could be a son of American Revolution if I wanted. I'm related to a couple presidents. I'm the first generation I can find that has not served, and that's only due to bad eyesight. My son's in right now. My stepdad was 2 tours in Vietnam. My dad was 2 tours in Vietnam. My stepdad was career Navy. I've got great uncles from Korea and World War II. And I have as much reason to be supportive of America as anyone. And I kind of paraphrase an article from The Atlantic when they interviewed Daniel Miller one time. I've kind of paraphrased it to my own words that, at least as far as my view on Texas and California, you guys are kind of coming up with this same attitude. In many ways, Texas is more American than America. And by that, I mean the year I spent in Texas and what made me love Texas and come back to it after I had to leave for a few years was when I was here the first time. It felt like the America I grew up in the 70s and into the 80s. And I haven't recognized America for the last 30 years. And so my whole thing is that, no, I'm not anti-America. I'm looking at an America that doesn't behave like America was promised to us. And as a student of history and lover of civics and all that, I want America back. So that's why I push for Texas independence and Cal independence, because these are the ones that are actually pushing the American ideals of self-determination. So that's my spiel to tag on to what you just said, Jason.
Well, and thank you. That's very well said. And I really hope that every single one of our fellow Californians hears that message loud and clear. Texans are not our enemies. They are people just like you and I. It's just that they live in a slightly different land where certain things work better for them. Things that work for them don't necessarily work for us. Some things might, but a lot of things don't. Texas has a lot of border, right? We at Yes California have taken a very classic stance on border issues, right? But we also have to recognize, of any single entity that shares border with another country within the United States, Texas has the most border. And any country, to be a country, must clearly define and maintain its borders. Doesn't mean you have to build a wall around your entire whatever. But hey, if that's what you want as Texans, who are we as Californians, our piece of the border, and we can decide whether or not to build the wall along our border with Mexico or our border with Oregon. But we can't really decide that for you. And like, I've got family from Texas, but I've only been there a couple of times. I've never been a Texas resident. I've not lived there for long enough to analyze your policies and the way things are in your society and really think about, okay, what is a viable solution for this, that, the other. I'm not a Texan. I'm a Californian. And I'm okay with that. And I think y'all are okay with that.
Nice. Saw that.
It's about this, like you said, the American value of self-determination, independence, right? America literally sparked off a very violent, very bloody, not even secession, seditious war against the crown of England. And they won. And that's why America exists. Had they lost, they all would have been like drawn and quartered in public squares and whatnot, tarred and feather and led around through the streets. And, I've seen people who are definitely extremists, most of whom are actually, should be more surprising than it really is, but they're on the left. Lefty extremists calling for people to be tarred and feathered and led through the streets and publicly shamed and humiliated. That's what would have happened to the founding fathers of the United States of America. My favorite of whom is John Adams, probably the greatest legal mind in all of the United States' history. Who, he had his own misgivings and his own concerns about rising up against the powers that be. And he was very clear that while war may come, potentially, there's always potential that someone somewhere is going to be so insane, so unreasonable, and so prone to violence that there could be fighting somewhere along the way. And seeing that, he knew that for them to actually win, for them to actually succeed in breaking away from the overlords, that they must use the law and they must stay within the confines of the law. And now when it came time to fighting, their legal stance was that they did not fire the first shot, meaning they're in defense of themselves, which is allowable. Even under all this, modern international self-determination law, no one is expected to just lay down and let themselves be brutally murdered. But you can't go and spark off World War III or Civil War 2.0, go, commit acts of violence, right? It only is allowable if you are attacked first. Now, John Adams was one of the legal minds. Marcus likes to bring it up, the Treaty of Paris, I believe it was, that actually ended the war. He was one of the brains behind that. Had he not been, I mean, let's face it, not all of the founding fathers were the best, brightest, most brilliant. Not all of them were hell-bent on trying to, have as little to no bloodshed as possible. Some of them did actively want to fight the Brits because, hey, they've subjugated us for so long, so now we're going to stick it to them. But an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. I know America's not a Christian nation, but there are enough people who identify as Christian that this phrase should really hit home and should really make people stop and think. You are either for goodness or you're not. An eye for an eye will leave us all blinded. That's why we do what we do. That's why we work with each other. That's why we build the room and the table for us all to sit down at and peacefully hash this out, get it worked out, so that we can come to a solution that will hopefully prevent another mass loss of life.
Yeah, James definitely agrees with you. I would like to keep the meeting to about an hour and a half because some of our members, they don't like 3-hour meetings.
Are you muted, Marcus?
Am I? No.
No, I can hear you.
I'd like to. Jason, can you hear me?
Okay, I am going to back out and reload my StreamYard. I will be right back. Literally 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
Does anyone have any experience with lambs? Because honestly, I don't know if that's a really quick thing or a long thing.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
It should be really quick. Basically, some of our members said no more 3-hour meetings. So what I like to do is I like to keep the actual meeting to about an hour, hour and a half, and then we end the stream, but we keep the studio open so people can continue to talk. Jason, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to keep the meeting to an hour and a half. Some of our members have requested that. They don't want 3-hour meetings. Now, here's the thing. That just means the recorded part. So if we could wrap up the recorded part in 20 minutes, then I could end the broadcast, but we could still stay in the studio and converse. And anybody who wants to join us in the studio is welcome. I'll post the link up for you guys. Is that workable, Jason?
Yeah, totally. And my apologies to the group for kind of going off on a bit of a spiel there. I want to really hammer this home to America.
I think it's great. I like it when you editorialize. That's why I was glad when you became editor and chief. So if anybody wants to join us in the StreamYard, you are welcome to. And we will keep chatting here. Yeah, 1 second here. So I liked your speech, and so did TNM. So I thought it was good. I thought we have to have the emotional motivation. We have to explain why this is important. And if you don't feel it, you can't ask other people to feel it. So you're like, this is important to me. You got to be passionate about it or people don't believe you. I do want to make sure, what is the StreamYard? James Young, StreamYard is this program that we use. So if you click on that link or you type that in, then you can come into the stream and we can talk. You came into a stream before. Anyways, Jason, about 15 minutes left. Would you like to cover LLC and how LLC means that Calexit is now our term?
Yes. So we have stated before that we didn't own the movement and that, Calexit is it's an idea. It's a heart and mind space. That has recently changed. We do now own Calexit. Anyone who is claiming to be Calexit is not Calexit if they are not part of us. Now, this may sound a bit authoritarian, but it's for a really sound purpose. To negate any of this Russophobia stuff, I'm not a huge fan as I am of Trump and Biden and Harris and Pelosi. They all suck. That being said, I'm not a Russian, so Vladimir Putin doesn't really mean much to me, right? If I was over in Russia, maybe he would. But people just love when they cannot think of anything else to say. Love to say stuff like, oh, Putin would love this. Kim Jong-un would love this. Xi Jinping would love this. Would love to see California break away from America. Well, most of the world would love to see California break away from America because that means that the largest agricultural entity of the entire freaking world would actually set most likely reasonable prices on our goods, which means that our goods would actually get out there onto the market. People would be able to actually attain these food goods. It would, in part, start to chip away at the global issue of world hunger. World hunger is a manufactured crisis. It has been manufactured by the United States federal government because they set the prices on this just absolutely mind-boggling amount of agricultural goods that California produces. They set it so high that most of the world, though most of the world actually really, really wants California goods, most of the world can't afford California goods. So most of the world would benefit. Does that mean Putin and Ping and Un would, like, love to see it happen? Yeah, maybe they do. But so would Chancellor Olaf Scholz. So would Prime Minister Sanna Marin of Finland. So might, say, First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, or Monsieur Carl Puigdemont of Catalonia. Pretty much everyone stands to benefit from California being independent and setting our own prices on our own goods. Now, that dispels that point. But again, we come back to the problem that people love to fearmonger, especially when it comes to this whole topic of self-determination, independence, legal secession, right? They just fearmonger because they don't have any actual talking points. Aside from that, there are those out there who are extremists who have been claiming our brand, who have been selling things using what is our brand. It is legally our brand. We are recognized by the state of California's Secretary of State, the third highest official and the third most powerful office of California, says, I, Jason Sean Richard Wright, the CEO of Yes California, the head of Calexit, am the owner of Calexit. So anyone who's going to take this up, be ready. If you're wanting to argue that point, you better be ready to call up Shirley Weber and tell her that she doesn't know what she's talking about and that she doesn't have the authority to say this, even though she already has, because she does. You're going to look dumb. You are going to lose that argument, and then we are going to win our court case against you. I want to make that clear. Before all these years, we've really tried to avoid having to take anyone to court because ultimately we're not looking to make a whole thing, spend so much time and money and energy on taking people to court. What we'd really like is for people to stop lying, defaming. Will they? I don't know. But it's to the point now where if they don't, as the head of Calexit, I will take court action, legal action against any entities who are claiming to be us, who are misusing our brand, who are profiting from misuse of our brand, who are, defaming our brand. Now, I can't do it for Texit, but I do support TNM in their pursuit should they pursue it. Because I'm right there. I'm there. I have had it up to here. I am totally fed up with it. The people who do these things are the only people who actually have been preventing Calexit from happening this whole time. We could have Calexited years ago. Instead, we got Russia, you're being paid by Vladimir Putin, You're a useful idiot for Vladimir Putin was another one. That one actually cost me one of my personal friends. Thank you, Rachel Maddow. You know, I have had it up to here. And by here, I mean through the freaking roof. I am so done with it. If this does not cease immediately, I have no fear. I will pursue legal action against anyone who is breaking these certain regulatory laws. That being said, what we want is not exclusion. It's not exclusivity. This is only for brand security, because securing our brand is going to be the way that we can move past all of this BS. So, Calexit is an officially recognized by the state of California entity. We are an entity recognized by California. If you are not part of us, you would be best served rebranding yourselves. Now, we've discussed rather recently how there was another group who, hey, we tried. We reached out. We said, hey, a lot of our folks want us to bury the hatchet, to let this all go, to have it be water under the bridge. And because my personal Jason Wright beliefs are not what solely dictates this, even though I had my own opinions, I was not surprised by what they did. But I still went with what our members wanted, which was to reach out, to make an honest effort to try to work together. What we were given back was, oh yeah, well, we can only work with you if you destroy yourselves, rename yourselves as us, only let us run your group and thing, and basically forfeit anything and everything and admit that everything you've done over the last several years has been dumb, and give it all over to us. They wanted us to rebrand. Well, guess what? We kind of did. And now y'all better rebrand or you're going to be facing legal action. So help me, Jeebus. I have no qualms about using the law to get what I need. Believe it. So,
well, it is the law that we are. It is the law that we are leaning on all of our movements, after all.
Yeah, right? And so, for folks in California, if you want to be Calexit, come and join us. We are building the room. We are building the table. If you want a seat at the table of national divorce for a legal, peaceful discussion on how we might find a true, viable solution to all of the chaos and corruption that has become the federal government of the United States of America, then all you have to really do is get aboard the steamship Calexit. If you're unwilling to do that, you would be best served, and your members and the people who follow you, your constituents, would be best served. And I want those constituents to hear this loud and clear too. Because ultimately, if you're part of this group that gets brought to court, you're also going to feel some of the sting of the law. The long arm of the law, as they say, right? It reaches beyond just the one single, legal representative of a party in court. It reaches any and all who have partaken in such illegal, illicit actions. So if you really want Calexit, come and join us. We would be glad to have you on board. We are not going to exclude you unless you're promoting violence. That's pretty much the one thing. You can't be promoting violence. This is all about 100% legal, 100% peaceful. If you're on board with that and you want true independence, true freedom to govern ourselves, come and join. We will welcome you. Get involved. We will find a place for you that suits what you would like to be involved with. Some people are great at social media and they don't want anything else. Fine. We will find you a social media spot. Some people only want to deal with the legal minutia of it and don't want any social media, nothing, or the fine. We will find you an appropriate place based on what you want and what your skill sets are. That's more than any of these other groups, by the way, who are very exclusionary, are very exclusive, say that only certain people in California are even representative of California values and California as a whole. California, one of the most diverse places in the world, and you can get a group of up to 50 people and say these 50 people are all that, is indicative of what California is. That is pretty exclusionary. We are working on building a table for everyone. There are 40 million Californians. And you know who's invited to this table? 40 million Californians, as long as you're willing to use the law and not promote violence. So, I will be clear. For those who have directly worked against California independence for some time now, this is pretty much your last chance. If you want to come work with us, you could come work with us, but you've got to follow our rules. We're not going to be blackmailed. We are not going to be intimidated. We are not going to roll over. We will legally take action if need be. We hope that we can get past this, but if you're forcing it, don't think I won't do it. I'm not as nice of a guy as Marcus. Marcus is really nice, and he's been very nice all of these years. Now that I'm the head, I don't really play nice guy with bullies. When it comes to bullies on the playground, I get even. And by even, I mean I will use the law, which is in my favor here, to get what needs to be done.
Well, you heard it there from CEO Jason Wright. I will say that, Jason took over and he had a very specific vision of where he wanted the organization to go. Jason, as I like to say with the Drake song, started from the bottom, rose to the top. So he came in before Trump was elected. Jason came in before Trump was elected when most people came in. In 2015, he saw a newspaper article, and then he joined the organization. That Trump came, and he started attending meetings in the Bay Area. We had another person in charge of the Bay Area, Claire Hedin. He kept going to the meetings and eventually was more disciplined and on it. And so we promoted him to the Bay Area regional coordinator. He then became my de facto vice president for about a year and a half, learned on the job. Then he became more elevated as the vice president. Then he became, when we had the business divorce, He became the interim president through my suggestion and nomination. Then he was elected by the Congress as the CEO. And so I really like the story of Jason, because what it shows is that anybody can join Yes California and rise to the top and then direct the way the things are. The only thing is that you have to believe. So I don't always agree with Jason's ideas or Jason's directions, but I like seeing where it goes, because he's got lots of new ideas. And the other half of the time, I do agree with his ideas. And then the other times where I'm not sure, like, I'm usually pleasantly surprised. And I love that, because we have a good working relationship where we can contrast each other, we can contradict each other, we can call each other out, but we are continuously coming up with solutions to problems and moving forward. And that's the attitude. If you want to join Yes California, I want to tell you now, as an employee, not the boss, now for the first time in a couple of years, it's a great place to work. You can have your own opinion. You can tell Jason I disagree, and he'll talk about it with you instead of yell at you or ban you from meetings, which we've seen other groups do. And what happens is you have usually a better discussion, and we have better products. So it's a great place to work. Jason himself proves that we are democratically spirited, and you can come in and work your way all the way to the top. So literally that's what happened with him. And literally that's the attitude he embodies that I've seen as boss. It's been a pleasure to work with him, work underneath him administratively. And he has a passion. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've been working for Jason for just about a couple months here, and he has come on. That man has a vision. He's been in the background for a while. He's seen some things that he didn't like. He's seen some things that he liked. And when he came on, he's like, we're keeping that, we're keeping that, we're cutting that, we're keeping that, we're keeping that, we're cutting that, we're doing this. This is going to be here, and that's going to be moved over here. And then we're doing this, this, and that, because it allows us to do this other thing. And once we get that, we can plateau and do this other thing here. I mean, it's five steps ahead. He ain't playing checkers, folks. He's playing chess. So that's who the guy is. I would suggest listen to him. I would suggest work for him. Go to Calexit Twitter. Jason's always there, or you can always email me, marcus.ruiz.evans, and join. Jason, I want to wrap it up. 2 minutes closing, and then we'll end the show. We will not close the studio. We will end the broadcast, but we will not close the studio. Everybody's welcome to come in and keep talking. Silent Mike, thanks for joining us, brother. Jason, last 2 minutes, how would you like to close us out? And then we will end the show, but not close down the studio.
So I would say, first and foremost, the Calicoin NFT, all of our fundraising stuff, it's all specifically to provide the funding that we need, right? Because we don't actually get money from anyone from any other country or government, let alone Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, and Kim Jong-un. Because we don't actually get money and support from them, contrary to what, MSNBC would have folks believe, we are doing this. We are fundraising through these projects, these nifty little ideas we've had, such as our physical token, our physical NFT, which Marcus has recently pointed out. This is the first example in the entire world of an NFT, physical NFT, being used to raise money for something like this, a social movement, right? So, Calicoin, the first prototype, the first actual physical mock-up of it, last I checked, was being made this week. I am hoping to have a good talk with Emperor AP of Eternia Empire, and hopefully we can get some images, some pictures. They're basically to start going to just very simple, very straightforward, and each token will have its own individual number stamped into it. So if you wish to see Calexit happen, this is one of the things that you might want to consider. Also, if we do reestablish California's independent nationhood status, you might have kids or grandkids or great grandkids one day that you might be proud enough to show a physical token showing that you had a hand in it, you supported it, you took part in helping to secure the lives and freedoms of the generations brought on by the 40 million current Californians. Now, if there's 40 million of us now, imagine what 3 generations, 2 generations from now, imagine what number that might be. There's no saying for certain, but chances are it's going to be more than 40 million. So if you would like to say, and honestly say, that you had a hand in supporting it, this would be how. You can also take our courses that we have developed as a Calexit Congress, which were largely put together by our president, Marcus Ruiz Evans. You can take those courses. You can get better educated on the fine points of all of this legal stuff and be better able to partake and help out and be able to truly say that you had a hand in making this happen. The funds that come from all of our endeavors, we are also going to be launching a merch store. So coffee mugs, lapel pins, hats, t-shirts, you name it. We're going to have official Calexit merch. And again, remember, there are people who have been selling stuff claiming to be Calexit or the new Calexit. Well, you know, there is no new Calexit. There is one Calexit and one Calexit only. That is the official Calexit, which is owned by me, operated by us. So, the funding to making this happen, it will help to... Oh, did my mic cut out?
No, but I'd like to wrap it up in the next minute.
Oh, it's just the audio. I can't hear you, but I can see you. Okay. So the funding will make this happen. Once we have that independence vote, we will need all hands on board. Every last one. Which is why we're trying to get the call out now. Because if you wait till the last second to join, we may have a spot that fits you really well. We may have already filled that spot, and maybe the spot where we, have it open isn't quite what you wanted. Sure, it's in the general direction, but it's not 100% the greatest thing ever. So if you want on board, contact Marcus, contact me through our Twitter. I've made it so that our Twitter will actually accept direct messages. Same with our Facebook. So if you want to reach me, you can reach out through our social media platforms. If you want to reach Marcus, he puts his email out there regularly, marcus.ruiz.evans@gmail.com. Let us know very clearly that you wish to be involved. Tell us what your skill sets are. Hey, I'm a lawyer, or hey, I'm, a social media master. Whatever it is. Tell us that you want to be in on this. Tell us what your skills are. We will make sure that you have a spot. Now, that all being said, I would like to say Viva todos Californios. Sí se puede.
Sí se puede. Okay, with that ends our show. You're welcome to be in the studio and talk. Welcome, James. Welcome, Silent Mike. This will end the broadcast, but we will be in the studio talking, and we'll see you soon.